right, here we go. We are going to get right into it. We are going into episode number 4 already, number 4 of this podcast, the Munch Make Believe Pod here. We are going to go ahead and get started. I have a couple of tabs open today. I've got my sleeper set up here, which you can't see. I'm just getting where I can see chat, if you will. And we're going to get started. So, rough agenda for today. I've got it here. I guess you can see it. I got some notes here as well, but some ideas about what I was going to talk about. We're going to start off with 5 busts / gems from the startup. So we'll go ahead and start with this. I did kind of already talk about this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I did have a request to talk about this a little bit. I'm going to try to talk about some of the bigger ones. Some I've already talked about, like Yurden's pick down here, Kyron Williams in the 21st round is pretty crazy. We talked about Isaiah Pacheco down here in the 20th. I'm going to give myself props for Jared Goff in the 20th. That's a pretty okay pick. What else was I looking at? Even Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 6th is pretty crazy. That's a very nice steal. Jared Wilson. Garrett Wilson's pretty. That's about right for where he was and about the way he's produced, I'd say. But let's see what else. As for busts, I mean, Najee Harris, bust. I'm hesitant to say Jonathan Taylor because he has been okay, but this is not great for your first overall pick. When he is on the field, though, he's very good. So you can't really say bust for that. Although my favorite say is best ability is availability. No. Javonte Williams, that's a bust. That's not a great pick, Joe. Sorry. Joe Mixon, another bust. Kyle Pitts, sorry, another bust. Darren Waller, sorry, another bust. But overall, I think we did pretty well. I think the league was very even. I think we all drafted okay. I think we all were. Oh, Cam Akers, that's a bust. Oh, Elijah Mitchell, that's a bust. Not great. Trey McBride, that's a steal. I should have mentioned. It's a great pick for the 12th round. Drop in the comments here in the chat anybody who sees one I'm missing or remembers a pick that they think is a steal. But yeah, we're gonna finish up talking about this. We're pretty much done. One thing I did want to do that I ended up not getting time to do because I was busy today was go through. This is the sleeper page for the first year. I wanted to go through and read some of the comments. Read some of the comments from like trades and stuff. But I think we mostly talked about those in the group chat, so I don't know how much discussion is here, but this is something I will do for the future because I mean you see this goes through. Oh, I guess it's up here, but we'll talk about these trades. I should have done this, but I just lost track of time. I didn't have enough time to do it, so we'll do that for the next season. But we are going to go ahead and start talking about some other things. First things first, obviously Archie is the winner of the league. He wins, and he kind of has an easy route to the playoffs, if you remember. I'm just kidding. He had a very tough fight here, 152 to 138. A very tough loss for Trev. We'll talk about his season in a little bit, but he does beat Trev for the 3rd time this season. We'll talk about those matchups again and that sort of rivalry we have going on. And then he beats Rahul pretty easily, who Rahul did have a very easy route to the final. Full offense to his opponents. Seattle only mustered 91 points, and Tim only mustered 99. Less than 200 points over 2 weeks. He only had to score 191 over 2 weeks to beat these two guys. That's an easy route to the final, and he did lose the final. He did perform better. One thing that was discussed is Dylan's run. Now, I always thought for the last couple of years, had he made the playoffs, he would have won. if he had made it, but just now realizing that's not true because he would. Oh, I guess he would have played Archie in the second round, so it is true. I apologize, Dylan. That is true. I didn't have that wrong, so he would have won, but still, he didn't because he had a little man named Jeff Wilson fumble the ball in week whatever 4, and that was his downfall there. So sorry, Dylan. You did get the 213, which I think ended up in Seattle's hands or my hands or someone, I don't know, someone's hands. But yeah, Raj runner up, less than 200 points. Dylan wins losers bracket. Now I do also want to draw your attention to this information here. Tim had the 1 seed. It was 11-3. 11-3, not a bad record. He only scored 1,513 points. He only outscored Joe, who finished 5-9, and Taylor, who finished 3-11. And this guy made it to the playoffs in the 1 seed. This was infuriating at the time. It's infuriating now, to be honest with you, because he only had 1,400 points against. That's just over 100 points. 101 points a game. That's insane. That's insane to have against you, and that upset me and a lot of other people because it was just Seattle from the previous year in the last redraft league we did. He was the same thing, if you remember that one. It's just Tim now. And, oh man, this pisses me off to this day. Also, sorry if my hair is a little greasy. Did not shower today, so apologize if you're watching. But so I kind of have a bald spot. Anyways, those of you listening, you know what I'm talking about. I do want to talk about Trev now here. He scored 1,919 points. That's a lot of points but he had the most points against by a considerable margin, to be fair. I mean, only other guys were Taylor and Rahul that were in the 1,700s. Taylor did get unlucky with points against, but he did only score 1,400. So can't really give him anything for that. And he did finish 3-11. That was a pretty terrible season. And I didn't think, looking back at the startup, that his team was all that bad. I think I did give him some shit, but it shouldn't have been that bad. I guess we had some injuries here, and some guys who didn't even play, like James Cook. Yeah, his team's not that good, but obviously that changes in the next year, if you remember. But yeah, it's a couple of things I wanted to talk about were Tim basically cheating many people out of wins by. I mean, look at some of these opponents. I scored 79 against them. Well, look at all these. The first 5 weeks, he only had to score 95 points to win the game, and most of the time it was less than that. That's crazy. And then finally, he had 2 weeks over 130. If we go to Trev here, let's see, Trev. He had a 168 against him, 151 against him, 154, 140, 135, 141. Trev got extremely unlucky. I remember this actually. He scored 200 freaking points against Taylor in week 12. That was insane. This guy was putting up numbers the entire year and barely made the playoffs. But Tim here only had to muster 100 points a game, and he was the 1 seed. So I will always be upset at that. Full offense, Tim, if you're listening. Probably not, because busy doing lawyer stuff, but yeah, you had a bullshit 1 seed. All right, so I do have some trades here. I started doing this, and then I again lost track of time, ran out of time today, but I still wanted to do this today because I didn't feel like I already have all this information on this spreadsheet. I was basically just putting my thoughts on it over on this other spreadsheet, so we're just going to flip back and forth between the two. Starting with Seattle. We'll just go over here. Seattle made 2 trades during this startup, one of which was terrible. We already talked about this one. He gave up the chance to take Amon-Ra St. Brown, to take Tank Bigsby in the second round of the 2023 draft, and Rashad Bateman in the 2 picks after Amon-Ra was taken. This is not a good trade. I think everyone will agree with me on that one. This is not a good trade for Seattle. I'm just so used to saying Tim. This guy can't make a good trade to save his life. But for Seattle, this is not a good trade. He also makes another trade here, which these trades just piss me off, by the way. This is not the first time Joe will piss me off in this episode with a dumbass trade like this. But Joe likes to add 75 different players and picks to his extravagant offers. It's bitten him in the butt once, as we know. but this has always been a thing. I just didn't remember it. He traded Seattle sent to Joe Miles Sanders, Naheem Hines, Jalen Guyton, Zaquandre White, Jarian Ely, and Jalen Naylor. I think one of these guys played, Miles Sanders. I don't know that Naheem Hines ever really saw the field. Don't know who Zaquandre Wright or Jarian Ely is. I only know Jalen Naylor because he's a Minnesota Viking and a former Michigan State Spartan. And in return, Seattle got Irv Smith, J.D. McKissick, Montrell Washington, Jay-Sean Corbin, Donald Parham, Mike Davis, and a 2024 first. I don't know what you were doing. Oh, and 45. How can I forget? Joe basically sent a first-round pick for Miles Sanders, which I guess isn't that bad. I mean, at that point, you think Miles Sanders is the guy in Philly. Like, he's going to be good. He's going to be there. He's young. So this is a good trade for Seattle, I would say. Joe, not so much, but we'll talk about Joe later on. Unfortunately for Seattle, he makes maybe one of the worst trades in league history. And I do have a quote from him here because I asked him, what were you thinking when you made this trade? He says, quote, I'm a dumbass. He just told me I could say that. He said, quote, I'm a dumbass. He said he was desperate for a tight end, didn't have any available for that week, and he had 2 firsts. He had his first and Joe's first thanks to this trade for 2024, which he decided to send to me, as well as a 2023 second for Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox was acquired for a first-round pick. Now, I think I don't have this pulled up, but I can get it pulled up. Dawson Knox, I'll let the chat, no one's in the chat, but I'll let the chat decide. You guys can text or whatever. If you think Dawson Knox has warranted a first and a second. Tight end 9, season 1, not bad. Unfortunately, they drafted tight end in the first round, 2023. And he's kind of fallen by the wayside, and that's not has become nothing, basically. He's an unstartable player. That first, if you're wondering, turned into... I wrote it down somewhere else because it was kind of murky. It became... who did I... Oh, it ended up becoming Rome Odunze. It was the 2024 third overall pick, which was Rome Odunze. I took Rome Odunze, and then I eventually traded him for Amon-Ra St. Brown, which is also funny because we made another trade here. I don't know. Maybe it's later on. Oh, also Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby is not on my team anymore, and he's fine. But yeah, I probably wouldn't have traded Tank Bigsby for Dawson Knox, let alone Tank Bigsby and a first pick, but whatever. Seattle knows he messed up, seeing as he texted me saying, you can tell everyone I said, quote, I'm a so. Okay, moving on to Yurden. Easy one, quick one here. He didn't make a single trade. I don't think he makes a trade yet until next year. A couple of good ones, but yeah, he doesn't make a trade this year, so we will quickly skip past him. He didn't have that great a year. I think he had injury. Yeah, he did have injury issues. And just an overall lack of, I don't want to say overall lack of talent, but there were some players that didn't produce as he thought they would. So yeah, no trades for Yurden. Joe, like I mentioned before, we will talk about again. It's a couple of dumbass trades here that I don't want to talk about because why are we sending 7 late round startup picks? Joe, I mean, we didn't need to do that, but here we are. The first trade is not late round startup picks at all. The first trade is very consequential in the league. We already talked about this in the last episode. But he sent his 2022 startup third, fourth, and a future 2023 first for Dylan's 2022 first and 2022 seventh, in which he took CMC and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Whereas Dylan got Travis Etienne, Jerry Jeudy, and a first, which was eventually sent to me, which he could have taken Jahmyr Gibbs with, or whatever else he wanted. Because that was the third overall pick. I think third. Yes, because he took Quentin Johnston with the 2, which is insane. We'll get to that later. Talk about this draft. That'll be for next episode. We already talked about the Irv Smith trade, but we didn't talk about his trade with Rahul, which was him sending Zamir White, which almost looked like a good pick in the beginning of this year. Everyone thought he was going to be the guy in Vegas. Obviously, he was not, because Vegas sucked. I don't know who the running back was. Oh, it was I had him on my team. What was his name? Oh, I don't remember his name. But Zamir White was not the guy. He was traded along with Jalen Weidermeyer, Aaron Ely, Naylor, to 2023 third and a 2024 third, which became Israel Abanikanda and 2025 fob, for Taysom Hill and Tyler Conklin, which honestly, all of those nothing burgers for Taysom Hill is not bad. I don't know what the 2023 third is, so let me go find that. 2023. Hold on 1 second. All right, sorry about that. Oops. Cooper's afraid of the lightning and thunder outside, so here. Sorry about that. Again, if you didn't hear that, Cooper is afraid of the thunder and lightning, and he is sitting in the room. So, 2023 third Joe's 2023 third was Abanikanda, which we already talked about. So it was the 2024 third, which became Bo Nix. Yikes. Is that right? Yeah, that's 2024 third. Unless it was someone else's 2024 third, but that's a. Hey, no, do not like that. Yeah, it's not. I think I'd rather have Bo Nix than Taysom Hill, so not great. And then another rough trade. I don't know, Joe, if you're listening, but you can comment on this. You sent Miles Sanders and Garrett Wilson for Allen Robinson, Dameon Pierce, a 2023 first, and a 2024 third, and a 2025 second. That's a lot to give up. It's not a lot to get back for Garrett Wilson, in my opinion. Miles Sanders, again, wasn't the guy we thought he was going to be. I think Miles Sanders was on 4 different teams this year. Joe, Nate, Dylan, and myself. Garrett Wilson, though, is worth more than all of these guys, easily. I don't know. Actually, I think I wrote this down. It became Tez Walker and Devin Neal. Yes, see, I would rather have Garrett Wilson than Allen Robinson, Dameon Pierce, Quentin Johnston, Tez Walker, and Devin Neal. So I think Nate wins this trade. A couple of bad trades from Joe. Already mid-draft. I don't think Allen Robinson was the guy to go for when you had Garrett Wilson. I don't know. Sorry, Joe. Can't say you made a good trade here. It's Tim's turn. I hope everyone's been looking forward to this. Tim made a couple of trades. Tim makes trades often. Some good, some bad. He felt like he needed to bolster his squad after his 11-3 season. I didn't ask him this, but I'm assuming. Which was just diabolical. 1,500 points. I guess that's just crazy to me. So, first trade he makes, he got roasted for this one. And I would also like to apologize. I have some screenshots, actually. Because I was looking through them today. There was some mud slung at Tim for this trade. I don't think it was that bad, actually. He sent Michael Gallup in a 2020 for Jared Goff, Darnell Mooney in a 2020. Actually, thinking back, I know why there was more mud slung. He had Tua, and he just dropped him. He just dropped him. I don't know why he dropped him, but he just dropped Tua Tagovailoa, starting quarterback. Don't know why. Can't remember why. I think he needed like a receiver or something, so he picked somebody up. Which is crazy, Tim. That's a crazy, crazy move. Drop Tua and then trade a first for Jared Goff, which is, like, objectively, that's not bad. He's been a very good quarterback. Unfortunately, you don't start him all the time. I'll start Dak Prescott. This one's not too bad. I think, honestly, you probably came out on top of this one because you also still ended up getting Kincaid. You had to give up what became Colston Loveland, and I don't remember what else I got in that trade. But you had to give up a couple of things to get Kincaid. I don't know how good Kincaid is, but overall pretty even. Not as bad as we originally thought. And the next one is horrific. This is just the worst trade maybe ever anyone's ever done of all time. Unsolicited. George Kittle for Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson. Tim, I'll give you $1 if you can tell me where Jeff Wilson is right now. 'Cause I don't know. Pretty sure he's out of the league. If he isn't, he should be. Because Jeff Wilson, Tim? Where's my... There it is. Jeff Wilson. Yeah, he is out of the league. A free agent, at least. I mean, what are we doing, man? Come on, Tim. George Kittle for Jeff Wilson? George Kittle for Jeff Wilson. I know Tim loves this website. He loves his KTC, so I'm just going to go ahead and see what KTC thinks about this. Not super flexed. I prefer, we'll say Jeff Wilson. He's not even listed. He's not even on the database anymore. I can't do this. I can't look this trade up because Jeff Wilson is no longer on the website. Tim. Okay, that's enough about that one. We need to move on to his next good trade. Actually, this is a good one. I'll give you props for this one. I don't know what the hell Taylor was thinking. I should have texted him and asked him about this one. Maybe I'll text him and get this reaction. Sent Damian Harris, who is looking to be on the outs in New England, for James Cook, up-and-coming rookie running back in Buffalo, Tim's favorite team. I mean, come on, Taylor. You at least give him a home team tax. That's crazy. That's not a good trade. Great trade for Tim. He unfortunately trades James Cook not long after this, but we'll talk about that this offseason. Offseason leading up to the next season. Then another kind of win here for Tim. Zeke, longer playing, and Donovan Peoples-Jones, who ended up on the Lions last year, to rule for DeAndre Swift and Juju Smith-Schuster. I think Rahul would probably say he would rather have traded Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. This was the year where Williams had 18 touchdowns or something like crazy, and DeAndre Swift was injured-ish. He was just tired of having both of them, so he traded one for another aging running back and an aging receiver who wasn't even that good to be. I guess he may have had a 1,000-yard season. Juju's nothing burger. I think Juju was okay. Wide receiver 3, flex 1 play. But the winner here is Tim for DeAndre Swift. And then a nothing burger here. Actually, again, one that Tim sneakily won. I think Jake Ferguson at this point was young, up and coming. I don't know why Nate did this one. Sending a young tight end for Austin Hooper. And I guess he got the second. She ended up taking Jalen High with, but I don't think he made that pick. I think that was Seattle or Dillon, maybe? Seattle. So you wanted both Hyatt and Tillman. I'll talk about that in the draft episode next. But honestly, gave Tim a lot of shit. Rightfully so for this Jeff Wilson, George Kittle trade. Overall, this is not that bad a year of trading. But the bad, in my opinion, outweighs the good. Mostly because you ended up trading James Cook. If you still had James Cook on your team, you still had George Kittle on your team, you still had Tua on your team. I mean, might be in the playoffs. Just kidding. Okay, moving on. Archie. We talked about Archie already in the startup. this is a crazy trade. That the first one is that I regret not holding on to my assets there because I was sent to me. I sent him T.J. Hawkinson. I received Dallas Goedert, a 2023 first and a 2023 second, which ended up being Devon Achane and Chase Brown. I think I'd rather have them than what I got. I don't even remember right now, but we'll know soon. Chase Brown is a bum. Rahul knows that better than anybody. Don't want Chase Brown. I'm happy he's not on my bum. Obviously, sarcastic here. I think he's a good player. Achane oft injured, so maybe I did win this one by not having any of these players on my team, and obviously not having. But this actually did end up winning Archie the league because I think he went off for like 50 points or 40 points or something in the playoffs, and tough to recover from. Next two are, this one's a win for Archie. He sends Michael Carter and Khalil Herbert for Tony Pollard. It's a win. Those guys did nothing in the league. Tony Pollard has done something in the league. And then you have John Mechie for Tom Brady. Tom Brady also was his starting quarterback this year. I think that's a win. Give up a guy who's not playing for Tom Brady. A year Tom Brady, I'll take that. All right, moving on to Dylan. Makes a lot of trades, this guy. The first trade we just talked about, the CMC for CEH. I think he wins this one. I think he loses the Tony Pollard deal. I think he loses that one. I think he probably would rather have Tony Pollard than Michael Carter and Khalil Herbert. I think he loses this next one as well with me. I think he'll agree. He'd probably rather have Jahmyr Gibbs over Deontay Johnson. Obviously, he'd rather have Sky Moore as well. That we all thought was the guy. The Western Michigan product sucks. It's terrible. Terrace Marshall is nothing. I think he was on his team for a little bit, actually. I think wiring Terrace Marshall. He's even on the database, too. No, I'm wrong. It was Nate. Okay. Tom Brady. I mean, I didn't know that. I must have mislabeled this. There's also a 2023 in here that I missed. I don't know. I guess I did. Which was Will Levis. That was made by Nate. Yeah, still, I think this is pretty much nothing. I mean, only 1 year Tom Brady, although again, it did pretty much win Archie that. Home run here. Home run, absolute home run. Sending Jeff Wilson, a guy he hated, would have given him up for nothing, for George Kittle. Well, I just can't tell. The bad outweighs the good. In your situation, once again, the bad outweighs the good. That trade was horrible. Yeah. This is what we didn't talk about. Dylan traded Khalil Herbert, who he got from Archie, and that 2023 third, who he got from Archie, the 2024 third for Treylon Burks, and a 2024 second. I don't know who that 2024 second was, so it would have been Nate's 24 second. Let me make sure of this. Yep, Nate's 2024 second. That is 2023, 2024. Nate's was Blake Corum, who was terrible. And probably won't do anything with all the running backs, especially if they just drafted Jarquez Hunter and Kyron Williams ahead of him. It's pretty inconsequential. But at the time, I would have said Dylan won this. Burks also hasn't done anything. This is pretty much a wash. I mean, no one in that trade has done anything. So I'm going to say this is a wash. He might. This is a nothing. Then he trades the 2024 first, a 2023 second, which becomes Tajay Spears, for T. Higgins. Dylan's 2024 first, so let's go see what that was. Dylan's 2024 first was Xavier Worthy. Jury's out. God, he went fifth. I don't remember him going fifth that year. It's crazy. I Yeah, that's tough for anybody who picked anybody but Brian Thomas and Lapikonki. Oof. Yikes. So, I think T. Higgins, though. I think Dylan wins this one. Xavier Worthy's obviously younger, but I think T. Higgins is far better. And TJ Spears is nothing. I mean, could have been the guy in Tennessee, and still could be, I suppose. But I think T. Higgins wins this one. He then acquires and then trades Miles Sanders. He acquires Miles Sanders for a 2023 second, which was Marvin Mims. Berger, he's nothing right now. We could be better, obviously, but right now, not looking good. And a 2025 third. Wow. Far in the future. 2025 third, which was Nate's, I'm assuming. No, it was Dylan, sorry. Dylan's 2025 third was Ollie Gordon. That's funny, he kept that pick all these years. So we always have that Dylan third from this Miles Sanders trade. I mean, Dylan wins this one because Miles Sanders sucks. And then he has a home run because I sent him a first, which became Devon Chin. Oh, talk about fleece spin. That's terrible. That's awful. My thought process here, because I'm here to tell it to you, was excuse me, I'm trying to make the playoffs. I'm trying to make the playoffs here. I think trade deadline's around here some point. I only had a couple of running backs. One of these guys must have been injured, might have been injured. I don't know what I was thinking. I also knew I had 4 firsts. Bad trade. Bad trade. I ended up getting rid of him. We'll talk about that next episode. And then we're on to Trev. Trev makes 2 great trades. The first, moving up 2 spots to get Amon-Ra St. Brown, only having to pay that 2022 second, which I don't remember who it becomes. We already talked about Tank Pigsby. And then he also trades to Nate. 2023 first, which becomes AR-15, and a 2024 third, which must have been Nate's 2024 third. Trev's 2024 third, which is 2024, becomes Braylon Allen. So, thirds don't mean anything to people. If you're, I mean, you're not going to find, I mean, I guess Bo Nix, Michael Penix, but it's 1 QB. That's not surprising to find quarterbacks there. But would you rather have, this is a win for Trev, even though Stephon Diggs hasn't been what he's been in recent years with stuff. But I'm still taking Stephon Diggs over AR-15, a quarterback who's got upside, can throw the ball a mile, but can't hit with the barn door, as people say. Broadside of a barn. There you go. Mess that up. Yeah, Trev with 2 home runs here, and obviously sets him up to be a dangerous opponent, especially down the stretch. Don't remember what week Diggs was acquired. I want to say 7, mid-October, 6 or 7. And after that, he started winning some games. Obviously, he still lost a couple here, but it's tough to win when the opponents are paying 150. This is a win for Trev for sure. 2 wins for Trev, I should say. Taylor already got to you with the Tim segment. Awful trade here. This is terrible. James Cook for Damian Harris is objectively awful. That is one I also don't think you can put into KTC for you KTC lovers. That's terrible. That's a terrible trade. Put on to Rahul, who takes part in a couple of one dumbass trade with Joe. But also one we haven't got to yet, he trades me, Josh Palmer, and KJ Hamler for Keontae Ingram and Britton Brown. I at least know who Josh Palmer is. He's still in the league. The rest of these guys are not, so I'll say I won that one. But not good. Not a good trade, really. A real nothing burger. Another real nothing burger with this ridiculous 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 piece trade. Just stupid. It's a dumb trade. The best piece being Taysom Hill. And Rahul, we already talked about you sending DeAndre Swift and Juju for Zeke and DPJ. I think you lost this one. The best piece in this trade is DeAndre Swift still. And neither of these guys did anything after you traded for. Don't think Peoples Jones is on a roster. He is. He's a Saint. Hasn't done much. I guess you traded for him. Yeah, you traded for him at the time everyone would have been, but he just didn't do anything for that. And then who was the other guy? DPJ and Zeke. Ezekiel Elliott. Again, I don't know why you're trading for a guy on the tail end of his career. Maybe you're just trying to make playoffs, which you did, I guess, but you'd rather have the younger running back with more upside. Juju Smith-Schuster, who hasn't been good, and I'm a Juju Smith-Schuster hater, but I think he's better than Donovan Peoples-Jones. Honestly, not by much, actually. So yeah, I guess really nothing. When the best piece of the trade is DeAndre Swift and you're trading him away, you know it's not a very good trade. Move on to Nate. Now I did reach out to Nate here for a comment about his season because I think we all thought he had a pretty decent team and he just blew it up. He blew it up early, at least what I thought was early. But he also I wish I had dates on these because he traded his first round pick. Miles Sanders, Garrett Wilson, which I still think is a good trade. But then I was like, this is insane. You're trading a first, a second, a third, and two players. One player, we all thought Dameon Pierce was going to be the guy in Houston. Allen Robinson is Allen Robinson. Tail end of his career, but by the way. For an aging running back, but still young running back, and a young, good wide receiver in Garrett Wilson. It's like, I don't know. You're trading a lot. I thought at the time. I don't know anything. I know a little bit more than I did then. But I still think you'd rather have Garrett Wilson in this trade. So I think he wins this one. Then I think you then start to trade off assets a little bit here. No, actually, this is when you blew it up right there. It's Fontaine. So you're still trying here. You sent Treylon Burks in a second for Herbert. I don't ever remember Herbert being the guy anywhere. Well, I was a couple of thirds. I remember this trade because it involved me. This is right after I picked up Tua off waivers for 75 or 75 FOB, something like that. This is one of my better trades, I would say, because I get Terry McLaurin, Russell Wilson in a second. Now, Russell Wilson's nothing. Jonathan Mingo's terrible. Terry McLaurin's awesome, just not on my team anymore. But I still think I win this one. My 2025 third, which was Dylan Sampson. Remains to be seen, obviously, rookie, but I don't know, that one's pretty even. I don't think Tua's on his roster anymore. You're wrong about that. Then the two big ones, sending Stephon Diggs and Devontae Adams for a net of Anthony Richardson. Who did we say that was? Net of Anthony Richardson, Trev's third, Braylon Allen, and Johnny Wilson. Oh, and Michael Mayer. I don't know about that. It's a miracle that you are in the position you are with how good your team is, because that was not a good net for what you traded away production wise. I mean, theoretically, a first and a third for both those guys is fair-ish. You might want to get more, but that's a tough return. Anthony Richardson, Michael Mayer, Braylon Allen, and Johnny Wilson. And I think you make a fine trade here, getting a couple picks. Now you're in rebuild mode, so picks are what you want. Sending Jake Ferguson, he's not been great, but he's not been terrible. And then getting Jalen Hyatt back. So this is where Nate shines here. And in the next year, makes a lot of good trades. Gets a lot of picks, a lot of good players. We'll talk more about that. Obviously, this was Orlando. He only made the one trade to Dylan. And then myself, we've already talked about all the rest of them, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on myself. But yeah. So yeah, that's all the trades from the first season. Obviously, if we're talking worst, Dawson Knox is terrible. That's not a good trade. Seattle. You'll agree. I know you'll agree, actually. I texted you. Taylor making this trade for Damian Harris, awful. And then the big one, maybe the all-time. That's going to be a poll. If you're listening and chat and can respond, just say yes or no if you think this trade, George Kittle for Jeff Wilson, is the worst trade made of all time. League history. Is this the worst trade we've ever seen? Giving up Jeff Wilson for George Kittle. Not meaning to flame anybody here. I know it sounds like I'm just roasting Tim. But this is an honest question. I'm trying to rack my brain. There have been some bad trades. But I think this one, me personally, I think this takes the cake for the worst trade of all time. So again, if you're listening, chat or whatever, go ahead and tell me yes or no if you think George Kittle. I see one yes. I don't know Brendan the Goomboy. Is that Brendan? Maybe it's, I don't know who it is. But yes, I see yes, yes, yes. Who is Brendan the Goomba boy? I almost just googled it. That's bad. Yeah, that's a bad trade. I don't know. Good trades. Who came out on top? I think Dylan comes out on top easily. The opposite of what I just said. A couple other. I mean, Trev. Oh, it's Trev. Yes, Trev comes out on top here a couple of times. I already talked about you. This is apt timing for me to talk about you. Yeah. I think Trev sets himself up nicely, obviously, but I just gotta go back to the George Kittle Jeff. This is just terrible. It's awful, Tim. And you're probably not going to listen, so I'm going to keep going because this is awful. Worst trade I've ever seen. And you've made some bad ones, so. Okay, we'll leave it at there. We'll leave it at that, I should say. Okay, what else did I have on this agenda? I think that was it. I did want to talk more about Nate's idea on rebuilding, why he did that, but he never got back to me. So maybe I'll put that in the next episode when we talk about the 2023 2024 season as a whole. So we'll talk about the draft. We'll talk about the season. But this is a little sneak peek of the draft. What did I say? 2023 2024. Yeah. So this is 2023 2024 draft. We'll talk about the off season and then the season as a whole. But yeah, I'm going to go through and read some of these old messages in here and look through our old group text, but it's always fun to go back and look and see what we were all thinking at the time, because I don't know, some of us didn't know anything, myself included. Okay, here's the someone just said Seattle. Dylan said Seattle traded Dawson Knox for a first and a third. Traded for Dawson Knox. Oh, I want to say anything about this one. Wilson for Kittle. Oh, I see. That's pretty fun. Okay. That'll be it, I think, for this episode. Unless there's any questions. I see there's 5 people watching. Don't know who all of you are, but if you have any questions, drop them in here real quick before I'm done, or save them for another time. I don't know. That's up to you. I'm gonna guess I'll look through for another minute or so. See if I missed any steals here. I mean, Jefferson and Chase, I did 3 and 4 steals, I would say. I don't know. All looks pretty normal. I've been staring at this screen for some time, so I've seen all these picks a couple of times. I do think it's funny to see who has most of their players still. Yurden has most of these guys still. Tim doesn't have Henry, doesn't have DK, doesn't have Pittman. Wait, he did. He traded Pittman and traded back for Pittman. So he has him. Doesn't have Zeke. Obviously, doesn't have Kittle. I think he finally dropped Gabe Davis. Who knows? Yeah, he loves that guy. So okay, I'm gonna end it there. Seems as if there's no questions or anything. So next time we will go ahead and move on to the 2023 season. We'll talk about the up, up the off season, what the teams are looking like. Man, I had to start Sam Howell last game of the season. That stuff. Josh Palmer. That stuff. We'll talk about the preseason and the draft, and then sorry, the offseason, draft, season, all in one. We'll obviously go through trades. I might be hitting some of you up, might be texting some of you for quotes and stuff like that on questions, or if you want to make any comments, because I think that's fun. But yeah, that'll be it. This will be on YouTube shortly. So if you want to listen again, or if you're not on the stream and listening now. So yeah, I will talk to you all later. Have a good one.